Hello, it's that time again. Get up, get off the couch, and tackle your own to-do list. Welcome to Just Ask Bob Live. I am your host, Bob Assadourian. This show has two goals, always. One is to teach you DIY skills. That's do it yourself. And if you refuse to get up and get off the couch, the second goal is to always demystify the process behind hiring a contractor. This is a home improvement show. So there's only A or B. You're either going to do it yourself or you're going to hire out. This show is also interactive. First half of every episode, in response to answering either a viewer's phone call, question coming in through email or through tweet, we have pre-recorded footage from one of Bob's renovation sites. We use that footage to answer your question. So every question leads to a renovation from one of our past job sites. The show is interactive. We welcome your tweets at Just Ask Bob. We always welcome your emails at askbob@cable14.com. And you can call us always. I'm old school. Feel free. Pick up the phone. 905-645-3232. Your questions will be answered on this show, or if it's past the show's time, you contact us on our website. You can always send us questions. Every question and phone call, whatever method you use, we will always answer it. Now, if we take a moment to talk about DIY skills, I want you motivated. You do the work yourself in your own home. Number one, you earn the bragging rights. Nobody can take that away from you. Whether it's simple maintenance or repairs, or right to a full-blown basement remodel, kitchen, doesn't matter. Let's take a moment to talk safety. If you're going to climb your roof, not a bad idea once or twice a year to check, to maintain it, to see if any shingles are blown off. You must be safe. There's absolutely no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, you have to be comfortable. That's one item where you may wish to hire out, or, again, if you're comfortable, do it yourself. Now, for whatever reason, if you don't want to touch it, again, that's fine. Let's talk about licensing, because licensing is extremely important before you hire your own contractor. This is a license, happens to be my license. Now, at the moment, you'll be watching it on your screen. And for those of you that have a sharp eagle eye, you may see that, in fact, mine appears at the moment to be expired. It's not expired. I assure you, I would not be hosting this show live tonight if it was expired. A little bit of an issue with City of Hamilton licensing department. They're kind of backlogged with COVID. So if they're watching now, they have assured me I should receive my license in the mail by next Tuesday this time. So it's very, very important to understand that our municipality, as well as many other municipalities in Ontario, have a licensing in effect. Now, there are municipalities in Ontario that do not have a license in effect. So that's something for you to talk to your city councillor about in whatever municipality you live in, or to discuss with City Hall directly. The licensing is critical, because I'll tell you right now, for those municipalities, and you know who you are, if you don't license your contractors, it's as simple as this. How do you feel about the fellow you hire working in your home? Yesterday, he was either pumping gas or working at the Big B Variety. Then today, he's working in your home, remodeling your kitchen, basement, or bathroom. And guess what? He may be completely legit, because all he has to do in a municipality that does not have contractor licensing is he or she has to go to City Hall, fork out $50 or $60, and license their name, Joe's Renos. So all the experience this fellow has, all the knowledge he has, is from pumping gas, making subs, or doing whatever he was doing, which was fine in his past employment. But if he hasn't studied right behind me to my left, the Ontario Building Code book, if he hasn't been vetted for a police clearance, if he hasn't been vetted for $2 million minimum liability insurance, and done a 2-hour open examination test on the Ontario Building Code, he or she does not belong in your home. So it is very, very important. That's why I always brag about Hamilton. Hamilton knows how to do it, and they do it right. To become a contractor, first thing you do is you need a police clearance. So for those of you at home, can you imagine how important that is? The right contractor for you in your home will most likely be in your home from before you leave for work, and he or she may still be there after you come back home from work. So the police clearance, it's obvious why it's important. Second item is they check before you write your exam that you have minimum $2 million liability insurance, and then it's a 2-hour open book test on what I call the Bible of home rentals in Ontario, the Ontario Minimum Building Code book. So again, it's very, very important. Few other things to check for is references. And forget about what you did in the past. 2 or 3 references will not cut it. Any phony can phony up or make up 2 or 3 fake references. You want to ask for at least a dozen, and you want to see that some of these references line up with what the project is. So if it's a general contractor, if all the references are about a kitchen or some exterior jobs, that doesn't make sense if you're hiring the contractor for a roofing project. So it has to be important. Now, if we talk about personalities, you know, take, for example, now the grumpy contractor. He begins the job in your home. You ask him a question. He barks the answer. You ask him question number 2 and 3. What does he do? Bark even louder. You know, there's a lot of issues with personalities. You have to invest a lot of time during the estimating process to make sure that this contractor is right for you and your own home. A lot of things to check. Credentials. Is the contractor a member of, say, the Hamilton Chamber of Commerce, Stony Creek Chamber of Commerce, Burlington or Oakville Chamber of Commerce? Does the contractor have a longevity, a history? Is the Better Business Bureau recognize this contractor? And have they assigned them a rating from anywhere from an A to a D? It all comes to research. Final thing, call City Hall, call your local building department, and it's always 2 questions. So for example, now, you're the homeowner. You're thinking of remodeling a bathroom. The process will be an absolute total gut. It's a century-old home. Call the city. Ask the building department, does this require a permit? They're going to say yes. Then ask for licensing department and ask, does my community license the contractor? Some municipalities, they're going to say yes. Now, a big tip here, because a lot of homeowners have been telling me lately, time, lack of time. They don't have time to do all of this vetting and investigating. But then again, they have time to bring these characters and these yo-yos to their homes and waste all this time on estimates. So once you've made the phone call, a couple of minutes, you've empowered yourself with the knowledge. Remember, the bathroom needed a permit and the contractor had to be licensed. Now, when you're talking to your contractors on the phone, only allow the ones to visit you that tell you up front they have a license and they're going to show it to you when they arrive, and that they are aware and they will use a permit for the job. You will be shocked. You will be surprised how many contractors initially right on the phone will try to tell you, oh, there's no license, or we don't need a license to do that. Or how many will tell you building permits not required because your home came with the bathroom. So in other words, instead of having 6, 7 guys come over, you might narrow it down to 1 or 2 or 3 that are licensed and that are being upfront and honest with you on the phone. Those are the ones you invite home. Remember, build smart and be smart. We're going to kick it off now with an email. Can you please do a teaching show on how to install kitchen backsplash tile? My husband and I need to get up, get off the couch, and tackle this ourselves. Too much time on the couch during COVID-19. Lena and Frank in Ancaster. Love it, Lena and Frank, love it. Even Bob got stuck in the couch for a while. You know, if we go back now, back in March, April, and May, well, first week of May, I was practically working 1 or 2 days a week. It was brutal. A lot of isolating, a lot of time in the couch. Once the middle of May broke through, we recalled the employees who were busy as can be. Now, kitchen backsplash tile, the best way I can explain this is a lot of upfront planning. I mean, if you don't want any extra outlets, receptacles, under cabinet lighting, and it's simply tiling it, you've cut the research in half, so to speak. Then you have to shop, you have to talk to family and friends. Again, if you can't make up your mind easily yourself, find a tile that you like. Find out if that tile requires pre-sealing, because a lot of the trend now in the marketplace is tile with a lot of stone in it. The stone has, you know, crevices in it. It's honed. That stone, if you don't seal it and then you grout it, you're going to be in a world of hurt. So again, lots of research. There's proper tools to use, but I could not think of a better project, DIY project for a husband and wife to tackle for themselves at their own home. What you're going to enjoy now on the screen is some past footage from one of my job sites. Enjoy the show, and then we'll be back. However, get your questions ready. Send us tweets at Just Ask Bob. Email us at askbob@cable14.com, or pick up the phone today live, 905-645-3232. I will take all your questions from the foundation to the roof and everything in between. And also, contractor disputes, contractor issues? Did he take off with the funds? Did he perform shoddy workmanship? Are you thinking of taking him or her to court? Call it all in and we'll do our best to help you. Enjoy the show. Welcome to our job site. Today we're going to be tiling. Now, as you can see, we've already started some of the tile work. Now, I can't stress this enough. You must plan your wiring needs before the tile goes up. So on this particular job, if you can see the cutout here, you want to focus all around the kitchen for that cutout. That cutout was a channel we cut in prior to our electrician arriving. This originally was a single gang outlet. We have the yellow wire in there, which comes around to here. So this has been pre-fished and pre-installed for under cabinet lighting. On the opposite side over here, there was only a single receptacle. The homeowner requested having double. So you can see we broke open the wall. This is called smart planning. I cannot stress this enough. Once the tile goes up, you're not fishing any wires through any longer. So plan your electrical and obviously bring in a licensed electrician. Now, today's tile is a glass tile. It's a beautiful tile, combination of glass and stone. And the way it's going to be installed is a little bit tricky. I mean, it's a nice tile, but it's going to take some patience. Now, on a side note for safety, this is very important now. A couple days ago, as you can see, we already started the project. If you want to zoom in for the viewers here, this is literally a scorch mark. We nearly had a fire on the job. If I can just take a moment to show you. Beautiful gas range, but there is a problem. These knobs. So as careful as Bob could be with leaning and installing, and we have the stove covered, we literally started a fire. So what I've learned now, and I want the Hamilton homeowners to know, when it's a gas stove, no matter how carefully you lean over it, there's a possibility parts of your body or your hips will bump into the controls. So you want to shut the gas line off. You want to turn each burner on to bleed out the gas. Now if I bump into it, it's safe. So really important. Little lesson we learned. Now we're going to get in here and start applying the mastic. Now we talked about this earlier. You can either use thin set or you can use mastic. We're using mastic because this is a dry area. Now there's nothing special about this. It's all in the wrist. Ideally you want to get it on the wall and not on the countertop. Now for those of you at home, obviously you want to use paper to cover your countertop or plastic. If you're hiring a contractor, they better be using paper, cardboard, or plastic to protect your countertops. Now as you'll see, we're doing this in 2 stages. The way I like to do it is, stage 1, we're going to be installing all the full tile. Stage 2, we're going to set up the wet saw outside the property in the yard, and we're going to be doing the cuts. I just find it's more logical that way, and you can concentrate on your full installation as opposed to doing full and cutting at the same time. Now the countertops here are quartz. They expand and contract differently than the tile. So it's different properties in the material. So what you want to do is set up spacers. You want to have a gap, a space, anywhere from an 1/8 to a 1/4 inch, preferably an 1/8. That's what you install your first row of tiles on top of. Reason for that is, again, expansion and contraction. If you don't have that gap, you risk cracking either the countertop or potentially the tile itself. Once everything's dried, you would pull out the spacers and then use either a clear silicone, which Bob prefers, or you can use a white silicone. So for those of you at home doing this the first time, you can easily practice on a piece of cardboard or plywood. That way you don't make a mess. The more even you have this coat, the less mess afterwards when you pull the trowel on it. Now these tile, they key into themselves, so to speak. That is a pain. I've never worked with this kind of tile for a while, but there's no real easy way to get into each joint. So you're going to use your finger to put a dab in. The notch trowel is not going to fit in there, as you're going to see in a moment. Now, if you think that's ready for tile, you're wrong. That's not quite ready. What we have to do now is we have to scratch it. The teeth on here are set up for a special reason. Different notch trowels come with different size teeth. This application matches the size of the tile. Now that's ready for tile. However, if you want to zoom in here, that's no good. These are all going to collapse and create an even surface for the tile. Right there, we're missing. So we're going to take a little bit off the trowel, put it back on, and then re-pull. Actually, you want to constantly be taking your excess off. We've got the spacers. So you're going to set up the spacers right in there. Tile should not contact the countertop. You want to examine the tile carefully. Want to make sure there's no damage. So I'm going to set it on the spacer. Then I'm going to move into the left. Now you're going to push. And you don't really want it oozing out. If this is applied at the right notch size, you're not going to get any oozing. Here where they interconnect, we're going to get oozing because, as you remember a few minutes ago, I pushed it in with I applied the mastic with my finger. Now you want to push. You don't want to have loose tile. It's all about the penetration. If you don't have penetration, you have nothing. I mean, you could use a rubber mallet. I'm used to this. Okay, every point is on top of a spacer. All right, there we go. I grab another one. Now, this is the fun part. We have a receptacle, or we had a receptacle. Now, there's two ways to do this. Ordinarily, with larger tile, or tile that's not glass mosaic like this, you would tile around the receptacle. I found by practicing the other day, it's actually a lot easier to install the tile directly over and then use a sharp razor blade to actually cut out the pieces. I can see through the gap that the outlet's approximately there. So what we're going to do is, see, this tile's installed on a webbing, on a mesh webbing. And you can cut through the mesh webbing. And then pry the tile out. Like I said, it's a nice tile, but it's a little painful around receptacles and cutouts because you have to do all this work. But then again, sometimes using the wet tile saw to make these awkward cutouts, that can be equally challenging. So you see, we have no choice but to pull out more than what we need. This still has to be pulled out. See the little hole? That's the screw for the future receptacle. So you have to pull out enough or you're gonna have problems later. And then when you do pull these out, when you pull out too many, everything might start to want to move. So you have to re-push. You'll see it's like a jigsaw puzzle. Day one, I like to get all the full tiles installed, right up to the top. Wow, that was tiring. Bob's exhausted. For those of you at home, patience, patience. We have a show to produce here, so we had to fly through that install. Now, like I said during the show, I personally, at least, others may differ, I like to do the full entire install, and then afterwards, install all the cuts. I find it more logical that way. Now, today's cutting day, so what we have here is, I just want to point out to you the sheets. So you see how this sheet, it's like a mesh, the 12 by 12 sheet. I find it easier to take the piece off. We'll show you one of the pieces we've removed. Much easier to take it off, mark it as you need to, and then set it up on the saw. Now we're gonna go through a quick cut here, just so you can get an understanding of what the machine's like. Second last stage to finishing our beautiful kitchen tile backsplash. Second last stage being the grouting. After the grouting's dried, our electrician John will be back to install switches, receptacles, and light covers. Let's take a moment now to talk about the grout. Bob's top pick, Mapai. Absolutely phenomenal product. Take it from me, trust me when I say I'm experienced. I've been using these products for nearly 30 years now. Now for those at home, obviously, do your own due diligence, research it yourself. The Mapai is a nice product because, as you can see inside, it comes pre-mixed, ready to use, no sealer required. And it's all about the reputation. Mapai has a phenomenal reputation when it comes to thin set and a variety of grouts. What you're gonna need today, you'll need your grout obviously. Now just as a tip for those of you at home, this comes pre-mixed and ready. However, I flipped the package over backwards and left it that way for 20 hours because it will allow the pigments to move around inside because it tells you you don't need any mixing, but having it flipped over for at least a day, that helps spread the color solution. You'll need a putty knife, you're gonna need a grout float, a rag, and also most importantly, if you can, a family member or a helper with the pails. If you follow us over here, you can see one pail up on the countertop. We have 3 on the floor. These are full of cold water. So when you're pulling the sponge, you dip the sponge and then you wring it out. You want absolutely all the water out, and then you're gonna do nice light passes. And also spray bottle. You want to do a light misting. This helps the grout flow. This helps it flow and slide against the surface of the tile. Now, just to be thorough, smart idea to do a little bit of a test application to make sure that's exactly how you want it and you're happy with the final appearance. If you don't do a test application and you apply the entire area, believe me, it'll take you weeks, if not months, to get it out. So we're going to take a little bit over here. We're going to apply it in one or two areas. Again, the trick is you want to get more on the wall than on the countertop. And then you're going to use your float pressing at a 45-degree angle. You want to pack it in. You want to pack it in both directions. Now this isn't going to stain the counters. We're going to wipe it up immediately or within a short while. Now with grouting, it's all about the penetration. If you don't have penetration, you have nothing. You want to make sure to pack it in. If you only get it in a slight bit into the crevice or the cavity, so to speak, it may crack on you. So you want to push in both directions. 45-degree this way, another 45-degree the other way. As I love to say, a labor of love. When you love what you do, it's not really work. We've completed the grouting, we've completed the entire installation. We finished installing the electrical under cabinet LED lighting, as well as the receptacles, switches, and cover plates. Let's give you a nice look. Now if you really want to focus in there, Bob's decorating idea, white decor receptacles and switches with stainless steel cover plates. Gives it a nice look. Nice finish detail, not expensive at all. You're not going to break the bank on that. We've also reinstalled the exhaust fan. Depending on the tile layout or the size of tile you're using, if you're lucky, you won't have to remove the exhaust fan. If you're unlucky like we were, you will have to take off the exhaust fan. A little bit of extra work for the electrician. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget, this show is interactive. We welcome all your home rental questions. Tweet them at Just Ask Bob, email them at askbob@cable14.com, or if you're old school, pick up the phone, 905-645-3232. Now, we want to take a moment to announce the Just Ask Bob live contest. We want to motivate you to get up, get off the couch, and take video questions. Video should be no longer than 30 seconds. If you're recording on a cell phone, please always turn your phone sideways so the image is widescreen, just like your TV. Go to cable14.com/AskBobContest for full details and to submit your video. So, walk around your home, whatever your upcoming project is, nice little short video, horizontal, send it in. You have a chance to win one of 4 $50 Home Depot gift cards. Bob's gift to you. Little something to motivate you to get up and get off the couch. Stay tuned after this break. We continue with your questions live.
Why should you stride for the General?
Stride for me.
Stride for me.
Stride for me.
Stride for patients who rely on the care at Hamilton General Hospital, the Regional Rehabilitation Center, and St. Peter's Hospital. Walk or run this September for our virtual event and make a vital difference on the front lines and beyond.
Larry Deani, and I'm the host of In the Hall, Cable 14's Community Affairs program, which always brings you a focus on important issues happening in our community. We are during a pandemic period, and I'm hoping that you're doing everything that will keep you safe. But I do want you to know that we have new content. We bring you the decision makers to talk about issues in our communities. Please join me.
1, 2. Good rhythm back and forth. Hey Taylor, I think you might need this.
Thanks.
Leonard's rebound, scores! Taylor Hall!
Welcome back. We have an email. I'm getting severe ice buildup on my garage roof area. I can't see where the heat source is from. Do you have any ideas? This is from Fred. Okay, nice. I love it. It's nice to have a picture. Now, this appears to me, in my experience, to be heat loss. Now, you will have to get in the attic at some point. See, the inside of your attic, ideally, it's a part of the exterior of the home. So if you picture now, your body is the inside of the home. Just above it, the insulation will be like a jacket. So you're completely insulated in the attic to stop the heat from rising. The heat shouldn't be getting to the underside of the roof deck. It appears to me here that's what's happening is heat is escaping. It's melting the freeze up there in the eaves trough, and then you're having the icicles form. So it's a reoccurrence. I really hope whoever installed that roof has ice and water shield. We've talked about that many, many times in the past. The ice and water shield is the membrane that keeps the water from pushing its way up. So I would inspect the attic. I would check for areas of heat loss and also how much insulation you have in there. Now, a couple examples would be anything that terminates or exits through your ceilings in your home. For example, bathroom exhaust fans, kitchen fans, anything that vents up through the home, through the attic, and then gets out the roof. Those termination points where that ducting goes through the drywall, sometimes there's large holes. Sometimes people have not insulated around it correctly. Also, there's cases where tradespeople or contractors have done work in your attic and they haven't, as they crawl or snake their way to the attic hatch door to get out, they sort of leave the insulation in disarray. They don't fluff it or pull it back down. I would definitely look in the attic. And if you want to follow up with me on that, my contact information is always up at the end of the show. Always feel free to contact me to follow up. We have another email. My husband wants to change our outlet in the kitchen. I keep telling him we should call in an electrician. Is it safe for him to do so? Joan from Hamilton. Well, it's a tricky one, Joan. I mean, I realize you're worrying for him. To change your receptacle, as long as the power's off, you should be fine. But again, you have to make absolutely certain that the power is off. If not, for something like that, you can either call in a licensed electrician or even a contractor. Because if you're not running circuits or running additional wiring, you're fine. There's no need for an actual master licensed electrician if it's simply to replace one receptacle. There are tools at the big box stores. There are electrical testers. There is the type that it's contactless, so it's safe. You hold it near the receptacle and it beeps, a loud beep. So then you would have, your husband there or your wife, and the other spouse would be in the basement flicking the breakers on and off, and usually communicate with each other with a cell phone. So when the circuit tester stops beeping, that means the power's off. Just to be certain though, reverse the order. Turn the circuit breaker back on and you want to hear the tester beep. Again, turn it in the off position. It doesn't beep, you're safe. I have another email here. My toilet seems to rock a lot. Do I need a new toilet or flooring? Melissa from Ancaster. Melissa, you may need both. It depends now. Let's talk about toilets. Back in the day, century-old homes, the toilet flange was a heavy metal or cast iron, and the pipe that came off it for the 90-degree run was actual heavy molded lead. And then that tied into cast iron. That's what I call strong. That's what I call secure and stable. You know, those were double bricked homes. That's when things were built for strength. Those situations, you will not have a problem with the flange. What I find on new home construction these days, and I encounter this in a lot of homes, everything now is plastic. It's black ABS. So that flange is terribly built, terribly built. If the toilet is pushed enough or it's rocked enough, the flange itself can break. Once the flange breaks, you have to get a super flange, a metal repair kit. There's possibilities you can put the metal super flange around it and then screw in and repair it. The other problem is back in the day, these century-old homes, the flooring, the subfloor was like building a deck. A lot of you in your basements, look up, and if you're in an old Hamilton home and the ceiling's not finished, you'll see what appears to be deck boards on a 45-degree install. Those are strong floors because the toilet flange is screwed into the subfloor. Now with new home construction, a lot of these floors are oriented strand board, otherwise known as junk. OSB, oriented strand board. And the plumbers, unfortunately, they're hacks. Instead of making a nice round hole, they hack into it with a Sawzall or a circular saw, and then they sledge it out. So these toilet flanges are not adequately supported. So I haven't seen your home. I don't know exactly what's going on, but you may have a subfloor issue, a plastic toilet flange issue, which may be causing the toilet to rock, or the toilet itself may be damaged in the area where it's installed. So you'll have to dig in and look into that further. First step would obviously be remove the toilet and I'll take a good analysis of the subfloor and the flange and see what's going on. I hope that helped. We should have another email here. I just bought a new toilet and the wax seal it comes with is very thin. I'm worried it will eventually leak. The store seemed to sell the wax in a variety of thicknesses. My buddies tell me not to worry about it and use the wax that came with the toilet. What would you suggest? Louis from Ancaster. Great question, Louis. Right off the bat, forget the buddies. They don't know what the heck they're talking about. Forget it. You're on the right track. I've brought you some gaskets here to show you. These are both made by Odie. Very, very respectable manufacturer. Now, what I want you to also look at is the difference in height. Let me take them out now. I should say the difference in thickness. Big difference here. Believe me, size matters. Size matters. Now, I love American Standard, two of their top models. However, well, let me back up now. One of the finest toilets made is the American Standard Champion. I wholeheartedly endorse that toilet. That toilet's phenomenal. One problem with that toilet, and it's a rather expensive toilet, it comes with a wax gasket that's actually thinner than that. What does Bob do? I throw it in the garbage. We're looking at approximately $2 to $10. The $8 difference is a massive investment. You want the heft, you want it to work out nice. The other thing too is, if you look at this one here, there's no horn. If you look at this one here, I don't know if you can see the horn that easily. It's this part that sticks out. The horn actually deflects the water to make sure that it goes down through the drain. So there's two reasons why this one's better. The thickness tells you a lot. Big difference with the thickness. So typically, if you buy a toilet and that's what it comes with, throw it away. Doesn't make any sense at all. You want to invest here. You want to use the thickest possible wax you can. While we're talking about toilets, I also want to explain here, since I've already mentioned the American Standard, Many, many years ago, I had a great opportunity to meet a representative from American Standard. And as you know, Bob can be very chatty. So I had the gentleman, I had his time. So I wanted to learn a lot about the manufacturing process and why. I was very puzzled why they make different lines. Now, this will be interesting for the viewers at home. This American Standard rep, I'm not going to quote his name, but he proudly told me that American Standard makes one of the world's greatest toilets and one of the world's worst toilets. Now, this information can be found online. There are various websites online that do comparison tests for the flushing strength for both solids and liquid when you're flushing your toilet. The American Standard Champion 4 comes out on top. So they're very proud to make one of the finest toilets. Now, what confused me was, why are they equally as proud to take ownership of some of the worst toilets made? Comes down to money. You know, one of the roots of all evil. Very interesting here. Now, the American Standard Champion is not my best seller because it's a very expensive toilet. So coincidentally, it's not American Standard's best seller either. High quality contractors and service providers will educate the homeowner, the consumer, about the benefits of the Champion and try to sell that toilet. Most contractors who want to just come in the cheapest and get the job, forget it. They won't even mention the Champion, American Standard Champion, because it costs too much. Builders across Ontario, and for that matter, across all of Canada and even the US and further out, they won't touch the Champion because it costs too much. So American Standard, by devising both toilets, they have a toilet that good contractors will educate the homeowner on, and there's some marketability and some sales there. And also DIY homeowners who really research it and want the best bang for their investment, they will buy the Champion. So they've got that marketplace cornered. And then on the other hand, they make the cheapest one out there, which really will accumulate for most homeowners. You know, we live in troubled economic times. If you only have X amount of dollars, you buy the cheapest one. And of course, the proud builders who will put nothing in but junk unless you're paying them through the nose for an upgrade. So I know that part wasn't in the question, but since we're on the topic of toilets, very, very important that I put out that information. Everything I've told you, you can find the websites online. We have a contest, and we're very proud of the contest. Bob's giving away one of four $50 Home Depot cards for video questions being submitted. Again, walk around your home, get an idea of what your project is, what's on your to-do list. Video should be no longer than 30 seconds. If you're recording on a cell phone, please always remember, turn your phone sideways so that the image is widescreen, just like your TV. Go to cable14.com, ask Bob Contest for full contest details and to submit your video. And good luck. Don't forget, the show's interactive. Contact us through Twitter, contact us by email, or contact us with the phone number on the screen. We're taking a quick break. We'll be right back.
If you count on your network of friends for connection, your network of colleagues for collaboration, your social network for sharing, or your TV network for entertainment, it's because you also count on your network. Learn more at networksyoucancountOn.ca.
Why should you stride for the general?
Stride for me.
Stride for me.
Stride for me.
Stride for patients who rely on the care at Hamilton General Hospital, the Regional Rehabilitation Center, and St. Peter's Hospital. Walk or run this September for our virtual event and make a vital difference on the front lines and beyond.
I am Larry Deani, and I'm the host of In the Hall, Cable 14's Community Affairs program, which always brings you a focus on important issues happening in our community. We are during a pandemic period, and I'm hoping that you're doing everything that will keep you safe. But I do want you to know that we have new content. We bring you the decision makers to talk about issues in our communities. Please join me.
Ready for seconds? How about firsts? Hamilton's food banks need your help. Please donate at feedthehammer.com.
My life was in shambles, and I was trying to figure out how to pick up the pieces. AA not only keeps me sober, it helps me live a much better life. If you have a problem with alcohol, contact AA. It works for me.
Welcome back. And we have another email here, question from a viewer. Can I use regular screws with joist hangers? This is Ted from Hamilton. Great question, Ted. Unfortunately, no. You must use structural screws. See, this is really important because, not every screw is the same. If we can break it down for a moment and talk about drywall screws. I see this often when people use drywall screws on a wood joist. And again, it can be equally as dangerous whether this is a joist inside your home or whether it's a joist outside the home. First of all, the drywall screw is not rated for outdoor weather. And even on the inside, it's not rated for strength. There's a big difference. Let's think of it as flooring screws mainly, because that's what people are using and confusing with joists. Floor screws, they're going downward. Gravity's helping them. And whatever you're screwing down, a little bit of PL construction adhesive, that's one of Bob's, big things I like to say is glue it and screw it and then forget about it. Absolutely forget it. Especially in the case of squeaking floors. We can get into this at a future time, but trust me, if you glue it and screw it, you're not going to have squeaking floors. What you need is screws that are structural. Simpsons, if I can recommend, are phenomenal screws. You can get them anywhere easily. Simpson screws have a load rating, and it will usually say on the package that it's also rated for, I believe it's AQA, that it's rated for outdoor pressure-treated lumber. So it's a screw that's meant to take the weight load, or else you're going to get in trouble. Great question, though. We have another one here. I want to convert an old wood ladder into a decorative piece for my home. I have sanded it down, but do not know the best way of staining the wood. Do you have any advice for me? Okay, I'm assuming it'd possibly be outside. This is Travis from Hamilton. Stain is nice. I appreciate stain. I don't like when things were stained and people sand it off and they use paint. That seems to be a trend these days. I would definitely use a stain. It's up to you, though. You have to make sure it's rated for exterior versus interior, depending what's called for. And then to finish it, to seal it, again, big difference. You're using products A if it's for interior. You're using products B if it's for the exterior. It really depends on, you get out of life what you put in the life. That's one of my sayings, passed down to me from my dad. You really do get out what you put in. So if you take that old wooden ladder and you just quickly give it a couple of scuffs, throw the stain on, don't even seal it, you're going to get out of it the little that you put into it. If you spend your time and really sand it well, use, again, either interior or exterior putty if you want to do any type of repairs to it, and then seal it with the proper sealer. You're going to have a showpiece, and the bragging rights are yours and yours only. We have a caller, Kim, on the phone. Hello, Kim. Kim, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. Sorry. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm calling actually regarding ceramic or porcelain tile. And I've seen places where you lay it down with almost like a metal grating, almost like a metal mesh.
Okay, I think you're talking about the mesh wire with the scratch coat?
Yes.
Okay, so typically, I think I know exactly what you mean. So you've got your subfloor on the home, and then the metal, it's sold at the big box stores, and it's in a roll, almost looks like chicken wire.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, that gets fastened down, and then it gets a scratch coat of sort of a masonry cement base, and then the tile gets laid on top.
Now, I guess my question is, so I'm familiar with that way, but I've seen cases where they don't use it. And so I'm just wondering what's the difference between when you use that and when you do not.
Oh, no, excellent question. It's Kim, right?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, now that we know what you're explaining, I thought that's what you were explaining. My opinion is no, no, and no. The stuff's junk. I mean,
Okay.
is this a new home you're buying that has it, or is it somebody?
It's an old home, and it used to have linoleum, believe it or not, in the hallway, and that's being torn up, and then this is being laid on top.
Okay, are you doing it yourself, or is it a contractor proposing that material?
It's a friend of mine who's doing it.
Oh, no, and great. I mean, friends are great, and, what's important, and, you're getting more information now, and you can look it up online. See, that's the dinosaur way of doing it, so to speak. Every new home in Ontario, that's how it's done. It's the easiest way. It's the cheapest way. The homes are built, and the floors, unfortunately, are OSB, oriented strand board. And then it's very, very cheap for all our Hamilton builders, and not just Hamilton, throughout the whole province. That chicken wire is cheap to buy. It's rolled out. It's stapled down. They mix that powder cement quick. They screed it in, and boom, they lay tile. Problem is, it doesn't happen initially, but I guarantee you within 5 to 10, 15 years, or sometimes way less, the tile will have issues. Now, in your case, it's an older home. Do you have any idea how thick your floor is right now, your subfloor?
No, but it's not.
Is it a century-old home?
No, but probably about 70 years.
Okay. You're strong then. Your floor is very strong. But even with that being said, I still would not recommend that product. What I would recommend, you have alternatives, and I'll give you two of them because one's a lot more affordable than the other. So starting on the affordability scale, what I would recommend is either another layer of plywood on top, and then you can tile over that, or possibly, and you've got to weigh these out, the pros and cons, is the possibility of putting down concrete board. So the concrete board, much different way to fasten it though. The plywood, you glue and screw it. With the concrete board, you would scratch out thin set, so you're putting it on sort of a bed of cement, and then you're also screwing it in. This adds strength, 100 times better than that chicken wire stuff with the mesh that the builders use. That's just junk. Now the premium, the gold standard way to do it is to use Schluter. Have you ever heard of Schluter systems?
I have, but I thought they were just for bathrooms.
Oh no, I mean anywhere you're putting tile. So sorry, this is ceramic floor tile you want, or ceramic or porcelain tile that'll go here eventually.
Right.
Yeah. Schluter makes a variety of products. Schluter makes the one specifically you would need. It's called Schluter Ditra. So Schluter Ditra was made very, very popular, in the early 2000s on the Mike Holmes show. It's an orange product, so I had a lot of people asking me that orange stuff that Mike Holmes would lay under tile flooring. So it's got little dimples in it. That's an uncoupling membrane.
It's a harder plastic, right? I've seen that. It's a harder plastic.
Yeah, it's a harder plastic, but on the bottom end is a fleece. So just to give you in a nutshell, the reason this works, now this is a German product. It's been used in Germany and Europe for quite a while. However, there are churches in the world with tile floors, that have lasted for ages. Just put it that way. These tile floors in these churches have never had a problem because back then they would have several feet or layers of sand before the cement on top for the tile. That acted as an uncoupling membrane. So now this product is a fleece webbing on the bottom, which embeds into your thin set that you scratch out. And then on the top, the ceramic tile.
So you put it on when the thin set is wet?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
You mix the thin set to a slurry, so it has to be more liquidy than it would be to support tile. And then you put the orange Ditra down, and then you have to roll it. You need pressure on it. Then when your tile's installed on top, the key is it's an uncoupling membrane, so changes in moisture, flexibility in your home structure, that gets absorbed, hence protecting the grout or the tile from damage.
Okay, that's good to know, actually, because I hadn't thought about that.
The Schluter website is phenomenal, though. When you have a chance tonight or another date, visit the Schluter website. Yeah, I mean, you could spend a month reading on that website. And as you mentioned, it is true. A lot of their products are for bathrooms, but they make products for above the tub, above the shower, and, of course, for the floors. And they even have a heat product that would give you a warm bathroom floor, but their website is full of installation videos. You could learn everything, you and your friend could learn everything about the installation process through their website, and they also have seminars for homeowners or for contractors.
Now, one more question: if we go with the extra layer of plywood, and you said it has to be screwed down, does it have to be screwed down really close together, like umpteen screws, or does it really matter?
Oh, sorry, is that how close the screws are to each other?
Exactly.
Well, I would use long screws where the joists are. I'm assuming your joists are 16-inch centers.
They should be.
Yes, we'll use long screws to penetrate the joists, and then the space in between, I would use shorter screws to just penetrate the original subfloor, but in between, PL Premium construction adhesive. That way it's glued and screwed.
Do you know how far apart the screws have to be, Bob?
Oh, okay. For the joist, for the longer screws, I would go every foot, and then for the screws in between, I would go every 6 inches.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Kim. Feel free, follow up with us after the show anytime.
Perfect. Thank you.
Oh, we have a preview for you now. Next week's episode on Just Ask Bob Live, we're going to be teaching you how to install windows. Today we're going to run you through the process of installing a brand new window. Give us a big warm wave, Frank. Frank Lorcella, one of Triple R's finest. Now, beginning with this project, you want to make absolutely certain that your window opening is level. There we go. You want to make sure the bubble's in the center. You want to make sure your opening's square prior to installing the window. If anything's out of level or out of square, now's the time to correct it. Welcome back. Quick mention again about the contest. We have 4 $50 Home Depot gift cards. Bob's gift to you. Submit your video question. We want it by video. Walk around your home, find something that's on your to-do list. Video no longer than 30 seconds. If you're recording on a cell phone, please remember, turn your phone sideways so the image is widescreen, just like your TV. For all contest details, go to cable14.com/askbobcontest for full contest details and to submit your video. And don't forget, every week this show is interactive. Your question could feature a renovation video to kick it off from one of our job sites. Always send your questions in. Tweet us at Just Ask Bob. Email us at askbob@cable14.com. And if you're old school, pick up the phone, 905-645-3232. Thank you very much for watching. I'm very easy to contact. Largest site on the net for data, www.justaskbob.com.